Good morning and welcome to Digistorm's first webinar of 2020. You're joined by Heather Venz, our marketing manager here at Digistorm, and myself, Tara Gosling. I am our digital marketing specialist. So if you have joined any of our previous webinars, you might notice that we have a bit of a different format this time round. This is the first time that we're using live video, so we'd love to hear your feedback on it. Hopefully it's a little bit more engaging for you, but yes, absolutely open to that feedback there. So today, Heather, we are talking about inbound marketing.
Yes, we are.
We are. This is a topic that we're really excited to share with you. Just some of the key areas that we're going to cover today include digital and non-digital tactics, some key examples from our own marketing strategy, as well as a couple of tips on how to get started with yours.
Yes.
So before we get stuck into it though, I thought it might be nice just to share a little bit about ourselves, our backgrounds, and of course our journey to Digistorm. So I might hand it over to you, Heather, to kick things off.
Thanks, Tara. So hi, as Tara mentioned, I'm Heather. I'm the marketing manager here at Digistorm. I look after our team here and develop marketing strategies to meet our business objectives. And a lot of that involves inbound marketing. So I'm pretty excited to be talking to you about that topic today. To give you an idea of my background, I've worked in digital marketing for about 7 years now. I've worked across agencies, in government and in corporate companies, and I've been with Digistorm for just over a year now. So back to you, Tara.
Excellent. Thanks, Heather. So as I mentioned, I'm our digital marketing specialist, which means that I work within Heather's team here to drive the marketing strategy. So a lot of my role is focused on our content strategy, and that covers everything from our blog, our email marketing, social media, and much, much more. So my background, I've worked in a variety of marketing and communication roles over the past 6 years, and that's been in everything from the arts to healthcare to non-for-profit and software. And of course, here I now am at Digistorm. So my Digiversary is coming up in May, not too long to go. So almost a year here at Digistorm and loving it so far.
Wow, that went really fast.
It has gone really fast. So I guess that's a little bit about who we are and our backgrounds. Before we do dive in, we'll just let you know that we will be leaving time at the end for a bit of a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions along the way, just pop them in the comment box. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to get through all of them at the end.
Great.
So, Heather, for those of us who perhaps aren't too familiar with what inbound marketing is,
Yes.
did you just want to give us a little bit of an overview?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually HubSpot who first coined the phrase inbound marketing, and that was way back in 2006. So if you're Googling inbound marketing today, there's a very good chance that you'll come across a lot of HubSpot content because they are the king of inbound marketing. Essentially, inbound marketing, it's a type of marketing methodology that aims to attract customers by creating valuable content that works to target their specific needs and interests. And that's really the key here. You want to be creating valuable content. It's not the only marketing tactic that we employ here at Digistorm. It is part of a wider strategy that gets clients interested in our products and what we do, but it's definitely the main strategy. And hopefully the reasons for this will become apparent once we get underway in the webinar.
I'm sure they will. So, okay, what are some of the, I guess, key differences you would say between outbound and inbound marketing then?
Yeah, sure. So outbound marketing is traditionally associated with advertising. It can be very much a one-way conversation. Some outbound tactics that you're probably familiar with would be things like PPC advertising. So those are those ads that appear up the top in Google, or cold calling, or putting up a billboard and hoping that the message resonates with someone who might be driving or walking past. The primary goal of outbound marketing is to push out a message to a wide, non-specific audience. Tara, I think you gave that example that outbound marketing can be like your one friend who loves to talk about themselves but doesn't really engage with you.
Yes, we all know someone who's a little bit like that. It's very much their show.
Yes, it's a little bit of a push style of marketing. So instead, inbound listens to your specific concerns and works with you to create a two-way dialogue. Inbound is great because it builds trust and credibility. So when it comes to making a purchasing decision, your brand is top of mind. Now, I'm not saying that outbound is bad at all. In fact, we use outbound here at Digistorm, and your inbound and outbound tactics should really work hand in hand to push out the same messages to your clients. but inbound is definitely the way I'd prefer to be marketed to.
Yeah, I
and
would agree.
Yeah, and that's why it is probably the the main channel that we use when we're talking to our customers.
Yeah, it just makes it feel a lot more personal.
Yeah, for sure. So another way that inbound differs from outbound is in its marketing funnel. So did you want to walk us through that, Tara?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with outbound marketing, we know it kind of tends to follow this more traditional style of marketing funnel.
Yes.
So we've probably all seen this one before. It follows very much a top-down approach. So starting at the top of the funnel, we are really looking to attract prospects through push-style marketing, as you said.
Yes.
We're going to funnel them through down to sales and eventually convert them as customers. So that's usually with each department working with their own piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
Now, where inbound differs is that we actually use something called the flywheel model.
Okay.
So you might not have seen this one before if you're not too familiar with outbound, but basically this is where we get marketing, sales, and customer service to work together the entire time to keep customers at the center of everything that you do.
I like that.
Me too. I love this model. So the flywheel model does that by operating in 3 ways. So there's 3 stages. The first is attract. So we're going to attract the right leads by creating valuable and relevant content that actually addresses specific needs and interests of your audience. So that's where it's really important to know who your audience is so you can address those needs.
Yes.
Second, we have engage. So here we're really aiming to nurture and build those relationships, build the trust by creating content that's engaging, inspiring, and educates them as well.
Yeah.
And finally, delight. So throughout the entire process, we're really focused on creating a great customer experience from the first moment they touch your content all the way through to becoming a customer and beyond. So it doesn't end. It's really focused on that long-term building of that relationship. So I think, the key takeaway here is that the flywheel model is really focused on long-term relationships to foster growth and retention compared to more traditional models.
Okay. So before we dive into some of the digital inbound marketing tactics that we use here at Digistorm, could you give us a little refresher on why digital is so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So we love digital here at Digistorm.
A tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister. And as you mentioned, we tend to focus on digital tactics much more than we do traditional. And that tends to be for a number of reasons. So first up, it's low cost.
Yes.
Digital marketing is much more affordable than many of the traditional tactics that are out there.
Yes.
You can do so much more with limited resources.
For sure.
If you do have a small team, if you've got a small budget, it's really affordable. And I know if you have limited resources, a lot of schools can relate to this as well. You want something that is cost effective.
Yeah, so thinking about, if you are bidding on AdWords and trying to get your ads out there, you might be just paying like 50 cents or $1 for a click compared to tens of thousands of dollars for billboards everywhere, and you're not really sure who's seeing them and who's engaging with that message.
Exactly, that's exactly right. So the second reason that we love digital is you have the ability to reach more people. So with digital, it naturally lends itself to attracting a wider audience.
Yes.
And you can really get specific on who exactly that audience is going to be.
For sure. And I mean, you can target internationally with digital much more easily than you can.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
with your traditional tactics.
Yeah, there really isn't a limit when you are using digital. So that feeds me into easy segmentation. So there's so much data available with digital. If we just think about social media, for example, here we can really drill down on specific audiences, their interests, their behaviors, where they're located, and you can really get personal with your content that way as well.
For sure.
I think the last thing I'll mention here as well is it's easy to measure. So you can really get a good grasp on your analytics with your digital campaigns. So whether you are using something like Google Analytics or any other tools available, you can really track and measure everything as it's happening.
All right, great. Can you walk us through some of those digital inbound marketing tactics that we use here at Digistorm?
Yeah, okay. Well, why don't we just kick things off with our blog then?
Perfect.
Yeah, so I guess we all know that content is king, but what this inbound marketing tactic really tries to focus on is creating that valuable content that attracts and engages audiences. So there is so much content available on the web these days.
Okay.
I actually read an article recently that said around 2 billion blogs are being published every single year.
What?
Yeah.
That's a lot of blogs.
That's a lot of content. Yeah. I think what's happening is that with so much content available to us, it's it can be quite fatiguing if you are searching for relevant, engaging material that actually aims to educate or inspire.
Yes.
So that's why we're going to keep coming back to focusing on valuable content.
Yes, I would rather read one really valuable piece of long form content than 10 kind of mediocre blog posts. Yeah.
So I would agree with that. And I guess in addition to engaging and attracting audiences, why do we write blogs?
Yeah, why do we write blogs?
Well, I'll tell you why. So aside from that, what we can actually do with blogs is you can really drive traffic to your website and boost your website's SEO. So these are really important. With SEO, you are playing a little bit of a longer game. It can often take 6 to 12 months to start to see traction.
Yes.
I think we've recently seen blogs that we've written a year ago that are now starting to really go up the ranks on Google search engine.
Absolutely. And I mean, sometimes when you write a blog and you put it out there, you're sort of wondering how it's going to go. And you're totally right, Tara. It is a long game. It can take quite a while for you to start seeing results on that post.
Exactly. But if you hang in there with a strong blogging strategy, that you are incorporating SEO elements like backlinks, heading tags, the right keywords that you want to be found for, it can really help to boost your SEO results. And not only that, but it can also help to increase your credibility as a thought leader and really position you as an authoritative brand, or in this case, school.
Okay. All right. So that's blogging.
Yep.
Tell me about social media. What role does social play in inbound marketing?
Yeah, social actually plays a really essential role. It's a great channel for sharing your content beyond just your blog or your website. So here at Digistorm, we focus on 2 main channels, and that is our LinkedIn and our Facebook. We also work with Twitter, but I would say predominantly Facebook and LinkedIn is where we prefer to be.
Yes.
And that's because that's where our target audience prefers to be. So if you jump over to Instagram and you search Digistorm, you're not going to find us. We're not on Instagram. Sorry if anyone is looking for us there. And that's not to say we will never be on Instagram, but we're going where our audience is. And that's really important. So we're quite big believers in focusing on key channels that work for you and doing them really well, rather than trying to be everywhere at once and doing a really average job.
Yes, and I think we've seen some really amazing results and some really good growth by focusing on our key channels rather than diversifying and spreading ourselves really thin across social.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen some fantastic growth in our followers and our engagement just in the past 6 months by doing this. So social is fantastic because it doesn't only just lend itself to those attract and engage stages of the flywheel model, but it also really allows your audience to spark conversation, engage with your brand, and also engage with each other, which is why we're all here for social media anyway. It's about that online community.
Yes. Okay. No, I'm totally on board with social, but one that can be a little bit tricky to get right is downloadable or gated content. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it can be a bit tricky, but I think if it's done well, this is where we can actually dive in a lot deeper and really focus on the engage stage of the flywheel model. So downloadable content is typically gated content where you are required to put in some contact information to receive a resource. So you might hand over your email address and then you receive that piece of content.
Yes.
Usually this will be long form content, so you'll receive a white paper, a case study, a guide, something that's a little bit more valuable and really dives into a topic.
Yes.
I think the worst experience someone could ever have, and I'm sure you've probably had this as well, is you put in your information and then you get something that's quite surface level.
Oh, yes. I've definitely been there.
You've been there? Yeah. It doesn't really feel too good, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it really makes you wish you didn't give that company your email address.
Yeah. So if it is something that's really surface level, or you feel like you probably could have just Googled it and received something more in depth, it leaves you with a sense of distrust for the brand. And you're probably not going to feel comfortable handing over your data in future for the resources. Especially today when we know how important our online data is. So something that we tend to do here at Digistorm to build that trust is you'll notice if you've been on any of our resources or our guide to inbound marketing resource is that we actually provide it free on the webpage with the option to download it as a PDF.
Yes.
So you can pop your details in and get the PDF, because we know some people like to go away and have a hard copy to consume the content. But what that really does is it actually focuses on letting our audience know that when you do download resources at Digistorm, you're getting good content, it's in depth, and we're really setting that foundation for the future. So
yes, for sure.
Anytime we ask them for their information, they know that they're going to get important information in return.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so kind of combined with that, once you've got the email address, then you want to start putting that email to work with email marketing.
Yes.
So I know that email marketing can get a bit of a bad rap. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it certainly can. I think email's still really building itself back up in terms of its trust. But I think if it's done well, email can actually be a fantastic inbound marketing tactic.
Yeah.
So the good news is that with email, you already have a list of people who want to receive your news and updates. You have an engaged audience.
Yes.
And that's pretty much any marketer's dream.
Yes.
So what you want to do here now is you want to keep them engaged and keep them on the list. So it's really important that what you're doing here is using your list to really target specific information to them so that it's relevant and engaging. So always coming back to valuable content, and this is where personalization can really help. So if we just stop and think about our own inbox for a moment. Have you seen, you've probably seen a few emails in there that don't feel personal, they're very shouty, they feel very salesy, they don't really try to speak to you.
No, not at all.
Where are they going?
Straight into the bin.
Straight into the bin. Yeah, and you're probably going to unsubscribe, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So, I think if you haven't already looked at segmenting your email marketing list, this is really where you need to start. So that helps you send more targeted communication that's going to be relevant.
Yes.
So if you are, for example, using a CRM like Funnel, for example, you have a gold mine of data just sitting there that you can use to really target and personalize your communication. So I'd also like to take a moment just to stress how important it is to not overuse email marketing.
Yes, that's a very good point.
I think it can be easily abused. It is quite a channel that you think, I'll flick an email out, it'll get to everyone it needs to get to, done. But again, that's where it's important to keep building that trust for email marketing.
For sure.
So what I like to do is before I send out an email, I'll take a moment to ask myself, does this need to be an email? Can I send it in another way? Is there another channel that will be equally as effective that's not an email? So that might be sending a push notification via my school app. Well, not for us, but something like that. Or can I send it on a social media post? Will that be equally as effective without needing to spam my database with emails?
Yes. Okay, that's a really good way to look at it. So asking which channel do I have at my disposal and what's the most engaging way to communicate the message?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really respecting the fact that someone's handed over their data to you.
It's really important.
Absolutely. Okay. So speaking of channels and engaging our audience, let's talk about video for a moment because that's the digital tactic that we've really been focusing on lately.
Yes. So here at Digistorm, we've certainly been upping our video marketing game recently. And that's all thanks to our video content creator, Isaac.
Hi, Isaac.
Isaac, who's watching behind the camera. Now that is absolutely for good reason. So globally, we are consuming more video content than ever before. And in fact, according to HubSpot, it's actually the preferred way that we like to consume content from brands.
I'm there.
I'm there
me.
too. Yes, absolutely. We don't always have time to sit down and read a long form blog post, but video is very easy to engage with. And it's also really versatile. So that's the great thing about video. You can use it across multiple channels.
Yes.
Whether it's your social media, you can use it in blog posts, in email marketing, case studies, or you can even combine it with some of the non-digital tactics we'll go into later, like events.
Yes.
I think it's great how you can have one video and just really slice that up and use it across different mediums and really get the value out of that video.
And if you're thinking about long form content, sometimes it's way more accessible to, ingest that through a video than sitting down and reading a long form blog, like a long form blog post.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can do the dishes and watch the video.
Exactly. So just a few of the ways that we're using video here in our inbound marketing strategy is to showcase product features, client testimonials. We'll do some of our internal events, company culture, our meetups, how-to videos, and of course now webinars as well.
Yes, for sure.
So I guess those are just a couple of the digital tactics that we've been using here. But I thought what we could do now is just walk through some of the non-digital tactics that we use as well. And I guess first things first, are non-digital tactics still worthwhile, Heather?
Okay, so I think something that we can all agree on is that providing a message in one channel is not as effective as promoting that same message across multiple channels.
No.
So what we're talking about here is combining all of these digital tactics that Tara just mentioned with some non-digital offline tactics. Again, to keep them inbound, the focus must be on creating value for customers.
Always, yes.
So we're not talking about your JB Hi-Fi brochure in your letterbox every day. Non-digital tactics have to serve to enhance your digital marketing strategy. And this means they can be super effective and actually help you to maximize your lead retention.
Okay, great. No, that's good. So I guess when we talk about traditional marketing tactics, we're probably talking about print marketing, TV advertising, radios, billboards, back of buses.
Yes.
And at times, I guess that can feel pretty old school. So how effective is it really?
Well, 5 years ago, we probably would have said it's not super effective. 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, there was a real shift where we sort of threw the baby out with the bathwater and we said all of these traditional tactics, they're not super effective. Let's focus on digital for all the reasons that you listed before.
Yeah.
Digital is really cost effective. You can get that targeted data. Sometimes digital can be sort of the king of your marketing strategy. But now we're in this digital world where there's an abundance of ads competing for our attention. Every time we open up a screen, you're going to see like 10 ads. Sometimes it's hard to even recognize they're an ad. So now all of these traditional tactics are starting to gain popularity again.
That makes sense.
Yes. So we find a lot of marketers, and I would include us in this as well, are looking for that channel that really demands your attention and elicits an emotional response from your viewers. Print marketing or event marketing, those are two of the tactics I'm going to talk about, they can actually do this really well. I guess the key thing that I would think about, so just like you mentioned with social, would be to really think about the personas that you're trying to target. Where are they? What kind of media do they consume? So different demographics, we know, interact with different media. So schools sometimes, one of their key personas that they're looking to attract are grandparents. So if we think about Grandpa George, print marketing may grab his attention a lot better than a social media campaign.
Yeah, well, exactly. Is Grandpa George active on social media?
I mean, he might be.
He could be. He could be active on Facebook.
Yeah, but he also might not be. And if we're just purely focusing on digital, we might be missing key aspects of our demographic that we want to target.
Yeah.
So I guess to really drive my point home, the example I would give would be handwritten notes.
Yes.
If you were to get a handwritten note in your letterbox, I would assume that would get a much more emotional response and it would engage you a lot better than an e-card.
Oh, 100%. It means so much more. I mean, especially Christmas cards, for example. I love a handwritten Christmas card.
So do I.
It feels so much more personal.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
Okay, great. So those are some good points. Now, we did mention print advertising.
Yes.
Which I actually kind of think that print marketing can be a little bit of a secret weapon for schools. Would you agree with that?
Okay, so I think schools already do print marketing so well. So if you think about the school prospectus or a school magazine that gets emailed out to your previous students and their parents, these things really keep prospective parents, past students, your whole school community really engaged with your school. Inbound marketing, on the other hand, it really stops print from being that one-way conversation and turns it into a dialogue.
Okay.
So if you give someone a prospectus, that's you telling them all about your school but not really getting anything back.
Yes.
So how do we make this print marketing inbound? So as with everything, all these digital channels, everything that we've spoken about so far in this webinar, you really want to personalize it to their context.
Yes.
So I'll run through a couple of examples. So I mentioned the prospectus. Prospectuses are great, and that's why schools are still using them, because it takes your school's brand, everything that's great about your school, and it puts it into the parent's hand.
Oh, it's incredibly effective.
Yeah, so powerful. So we've seen the prospectus combined with lead capture. So if you have a great school website that's really working towards your goals, you'll often have a page on there where parents can fill out a few details about themselves, and then including their address, and then you'll mail them a prospectus. So that's, like you talked about, it's sort of like a traditional way of gating that content.
Yes.
So you get a few details, and then we mail you something. So what I would encourage schools to do if you're doing something like that is to think about if there's anything else that you can send out with the prospectus that uses the details that a parent provided in the form. Yeah, so can you add some form fields about what the student's interested in or the parent's background, and then provide that additional context to sort of open it up and say, we listened to you, we heard what you said in the form, here's some information that might be valuable to you.
Again, that's where the personalization comes in.
Yes, for sure. In a similar vein, let's talk about the school magazine. So my old school does this. Every 6 months, I get a school magazine mailed straight into my inbox. School magazines are awesome in keeping your past students engaged with the school.
Oh, definitely.
They showcase your school. They're filled with beautiful images, keeping students, past students updated on what the school actually looks like now. I see we have had a uniform change. And rich, engaging content about students who are in the school, teachers who you might remember, and then other past students and what they're getting up to now.
Yeah.
So if you're sending it to past students, your school likely already has a bunch of information about them. So something that you would know would be the year they graduated, so around how old they are now. You would probably also have their most recent address. So you would know if they're living around your school somewhere, and if they might be looking to have children soon. If your school could be like a potential, just continuing that relationship a little bit. You probably, depending on when they graduated and how good your records are, you might even have information about the programs that they liked while they were in school. So were they sporty or musical or academic? And then how can you put this data to work in keeping them engaged with your school community? Now, I'm not saying you need to get different magazines printed for all the different year levels, and then personalized to what they liked when they were in school. That's a lot that would cost your school an absolute fortune. And I don't think you would see great ROI.
No, I don't think so.
No, but I'm saying, can you use that data and put in an insert in the magazine, or can you encourage them to take that conversation online, get their email address, and start providing them with additional content that they might be interested in?
Are there those small moments available for personalization?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
I think the third example that we've seen schools do really well is pre-preparing informational packets before they take parents on a school tour.
Yes.
Yeah. So you would have them produce to give prospective parents like a little bit more information about your school programs, and you could really tailor this to the school's to the child's interests. So for example, you're taking the parents on a tour and you find out the child's really musical or really sporty. You could just grab that informational packet that has all the information about your music programs or your sporting programs and give it straight to them, rather than giving everyone the exact same thing at the end of the tour or providing them with extra information later.
Excellent.
So one thing I would say is with all your print marketing, try and couple it with your digital strategy and try to take the conversation online. That's going to be a way more effective use of your resources to continue that conversation through email. So if you don't have an up-to-date email from a past student, when you mail them that magazine, just really encourage them to log on and give it to you through the school. And you'll know if the email that you have for them is not up to date because it'll bounce.
Yes, exactly.
Or they won't be opening any of your email addresses.
Yeah, that's a good way to go.
So not only does this give you another email for your mailing list, but it also helps you to continue that dialogue. You could also encourage, parents that you took on that tour or your past students to join your social community. And then they can interact with each other as well as interacting with teachers and staff at your school.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, it's a great way to keep that emotional connection going throughout the whole journey.
Yeah, these are just some really easy tactics to move the conversation you're having through print online.
Okay, great. Those are some fantastic examples.
Yes.
Have there been any other print marketing tactics you've seen used particularly well?
So the tactics that I just discussed were pretty, I would say, school heavy. So they really talk about your school and the things that your school offers. And sometimes we don't consider that inbound marketing because it can be that one-way conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'd really encourage you to take, those other elements and really personalize it to them. But school marketers who are looking to engage prospective parents, these parents might not have ever had anything to do with your school before. And so you'll want to take a much softer approach. So this is definitely possible. You can provide prospective parents with a really engaging print document, either in their letterbox or if they come to a school event, which we'll talk about in just a second, that really doesn't have anything to a comprehensive guide on a subject that you know that they'll be interested in. So again, I think I've stressed it at every step in this webinar, but I would say again, creating value is key.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're going to be asking them to engage with the document, make sure that it's actually something that they would get value out of. So some examples that we've seen done really well. One is a how-to guide packed with amazing school lunchbox recipes.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, with your ingredient list and photos. Makes packing lunchboxes. That's something that would stress me out as a parent,
I think. To just do that for me now.
I know.
That's so handy.
Yeah. So again, something that's really valuable to parents, covered in your school branding, maybe even a call to action on it to get them to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
Or a checklist that parents can use as part of their daily or back to school routines. So for example, a checklist about getting your child ready for prep.
Oh, that's so handy. It can be such a stressful time. So having something there ready to go that tells you everything you need to know.
Yes.
With your school branding on it.
Yeah, with your school branding on it, and maybe even plugging your school in a really soft way. That can be something that's really valuable. Yeah. Or a checklist about if they're comparing different schools, about selecting the perfect school. And it might have things that parents hadn't considered before. So that could be really helpful as well. Or even things to do before heading back to the school year, school holiday ideas or something like that.
Yeah, great. They all sound super helpful.
Yeah. A couple of other ideas we've got. A homework planning template that can be used to help students sort out and allocate the week's workload.
That's great.
Yep. Again, super valuable to parents. Or, and this is one that I've been seeing since we were in school, the old school calendar with the beautiful pictures of the school on it.
Yes.
Yeah, but you could make that a little more valuable to prospective parents or parents in your community by pre-filling key school dates and putting in things like pupil-free days or even your school's events.
Perfect.
Yeah, so these are all great ways that you can use print marketing to keep your school top of mind.
Great.
Yeah, maybe the prospective parent isn't in that, they're not ready to enroll their child yet, but these are just little things that you can keep providing to them that really help to sell your school. They really help to add that delight factor to your experience with the school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing we've seen done well is when schools couple that print marketing material with a little bit of promo or merch. So you give the parents or the students a little gift to kind of welcome them to the school community.
It's a nice little touch.
It really is, yeah.
Okay, so how about any other non-digital marketing tactics that you've seen done really well?
Yeah.
One might be events, for example.
Yes, events. So that's something that Digistorm is starting to invest in a lot ourselves.
Yes.
Events are just this key part of all 2020 marketing strategies, and there's a really good reason for that. So I was reading up on Bizzebo's 2019 event marketing report when we were preparing for this webinar, and this was crazy. 41% of marketers believe that events are the single most effective marketing channel.
Oh, wow.
In 2019.
41%.
41%.
Okay.
So, yes, that's right. It's more effective than any digital advertising. That includes email marketing, which I think gets the highest ROI, but that's only 24%, or even content marketing. Events are definitely something that you want to get right and do well and do often. And to do that, you need to have a little bit of strategy and a lot of planning. Yeah.
Okay.
So, events, we sometimes don't think of them as being an inbound marketing tactic because again, outbound, you might think of it as outbound because it's one person getting up and sort of providing information and you're not getting that dialogue. So the thing is, you can make your event inbound marketing by ensuring that it is informational, that it's providing value to parents, and that it's personalized to their context. And we've seen schools, I think even since we were in school, schools have been doing this really well when they organize informational community events or other events that really benefit prospective parents or past students or anyone in your school community really, without really going to town and plugging your school.
Yeah, you're not necessarily trying to sell anything. You're engaging the audience.
Yes. So I guess some events that you might want to look into would be, what to expect when your child is starting school. Open that up to anyone in your community who has a child who's around that age. And then you can get different experts up just to sort of walk them through what the process is going to be. Things like if the school curriculum changes, that can be, for some parents, that can be a really confusing time. Yeah. So hosting an event, again, all are welcome to just come and hear about the changes to the school curriculum and what that's going to mean for their family and their child's academics. One that has been around since I went to a bunch of these when I was in school and my parents did, would be safety online seminars.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Keeping your child safe online. Parents are always trying to keep up with all the new apps and all the new technology that, we're just not really sure about what it means and,
of course,
and how to keep it, gated and keep your child secure. So events can be really, really valuable if you're tailoring it to the parent's context and personalizing it to them. So again, you could send out questions ahead of time for the event. People could provide like concerns or questions, and then you could really tailor the event to match your audience.
Okay.
So events and print marketing, these are two non-digital strategies that I personally think schools have been nailing for a while when it comes to capturing the interest of parents in their community. There are possibly a lot more, but these are two that I think schools are already doing really well. Combining them with those digital inbound marketing tactics, you can have a really powerful marketing strategy this year.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you for running us through those.
No worries. So now we've run through a very exhaustive list of inbound marketing tactics. Yes. That was a lot. And don't worry, we will be emailing you a bit of a wrap up with some further resources at the end of this session. So you don't need to be furiously scribbling everything down. It can be hard for a school marketer to know where to begin when it comes to inbound marketing. Yes. That's a lot of channels. So how do you start using inbound tactics at your school?
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing we want to do is really start developing that marketing plan. So, I mean, it's February. If you don't have a marketing plan in place just yet, don't worry. We're still pretty early on in the year.
Yes,
so
plenty of time.
Yeah, that's definitely the first place you want to start. So there's a couple of steps to that. And the first one is definitely defining your marketing objectives. So this is where you want to start to build your foundation. These should really be driven by your overall school's business objectives. And then you can start determining what you want to focus on this year. So what we tend to recommend is focusing on 2 to 3 key objectives. And that might be something like increasing brand awareness or meeting enrollment targets, ongoing brand management, or even just improving your parents' and schools' communication.
Yeah, these are pretty common tactics, I think, for most school marketers. They're looking to work towards these.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first place we want to start, is defining those objectives. Now, step 2 is listing out your marketing initiatives.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to start writing about all the ways we plan on actually achieving these objectives.
That can be the tricky bit.
That is the tricky part. Tricky part. It's all what are the activities we're going to do.
Yes.
So here you want to think about the actions that your users are going to need to take to achieve the objectives.
Yeah, sure.
And then we can really start to work backwards and making sure that it's as simple as possible to meet them.
Gotcha. So I guess if we're talking about a school that wants to boost their enrollment applications, are there ways that you could make it easier for a parent to sort of find out about the school, inquire about the school?
Exactly.
Yeah, cut down those steps to enrollment, and how can marketing really support the enrollments team to do that?
Well, that's exactly right. So that's a great example. If you currently have a PDF for an enrollment form, do you want to move that online?
Yes.
How can you alleviate the steps to get to where you need to go?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's a great example. So up to our third step now is we really want to pick the channels that we're going to focus on to communicate that message. So as I sort of mentioned back at social media, you want to focus in on the channels that are going to work for you and not worry about the ones that aren't working.
Yes.
So when we are choosing our channels, we really want to make sure that they fit your budget. They can't be too expensive.
Yes.
They have to actually fit your budget.
Yeah.
they need to support that marketing objective, and you really want to make sure that your target audience is using it, that they're there.
Yes, for sure. So I guess if we're talking about your objective being improving parent-school communication, and you're looking to introduce a school app and get everybody using it, you'll want to be really targeting people who are active users of a smartphone at the time.
Exactly.
So focusing on those digital tactics, maybe even combining some non-digital tactics to sort of capture everybody.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, so step 4 is determining our KPIs.
Okay.
Now, we've already established where we're going, but it's time to figure out how we're going to track and measure our progress.
Yeah.
So KPIs, or key performance indicators, they're usually metrics that can help you measure that. So you'll probably find that most of your objectives are going to have natural KPIs. So for example, if you are trying to meet enrollment targets, your KPIs are going to be related to how many enrollment applications are you receiving. Or another example would be if you're wanting to improve parent communication, you're looking at how many app downloads am I getting?
Yeah, right. Okay.
So those are a couple of examples how the KPIs naturally will lead into your objective.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, and I guess another example would be if you are looking at events and you want to improve your event strategy, it would be how many event attendees are you hoping to achieve?
Yes, gotcha.
Yeah, so setting those KPIs can really help you measure along the way.
Oh, yeah. And then you know if what you're doing is successful.
That's exactly right.
I think sometimes as marketers, we're guilty of sort of picking our objectives, listing our channels, working out our initiatives, and then shying away from the KPIs.
Yeah.
But otherwise, how do we know if what we're doing is working?
Go look at the facts.
Yeah.
So, and I guess that sort of feeds into the 5th and final step by looking at what you're doing is you really want to refine, measure, and improve your marketing strategy. So the marketing plan isn't necessarily going to be set in stone. It's always really important to review what you're doing. You might set your own targets around how often you're reviewing it. That might be once a quarter that you look at it and see how it's going. But you want to make sure that it is on track to meeting your objectives and that you are adjusting as necessary as you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the steps on getting started.
Yes.
So I guess we might open up to the Q&A now. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to submit any questions that you do have. And in the meantime, remind you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So here you'll find more stuff, interviews, client testimonials, product features, and much, much more over the coming year. So I strongly advise you to jump on there and subscribe.
Yep, for sure. So just look right below this video and you should see a big button that says subscribe.
Hit that one for us. So we'll have a little look. Have we got any questions coming through? Okay, it looks like we don't have any at the moment, Heather.
Yeah, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to comment on this video and we'll answer those questions for you as soon as we can.
Absolutely. Or if you want to send us an email as well, don't hesitate. We're more than happy to help. Marketing@digistorm.com.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See you later, guys.